Is stepping on money in Thailand a crime? And how much money do you have to be carrying around for this to even matter? Well, we're going to talk about that in today's video. Welcome back, everybody. I am your guide to the land of smiles. I am a US expat living here in Thailand. And if you are thinking about moving to Thailand, or you are just curious about Thailand, I think you will enjoy this channel. So join us every single week for a new video. Okay guys, so let's get right into it. This is a question that I got from one of our subscribers. Now before we get into the actual answer, I need to say something very important. The information in this video is not legal advice, and you should consult with a lawyer if you have any legal questions. Okay, so let's get right into it. This is a question that I got from one of our subscribers. A subscriber asked, "Does Thailand have a law against stepping on money? I've heard people say that they have been fined or jailed for doing this. Can you clear this up for us?" So there are two separate laws that this could be talking about. One is disrespecting the currency, and the other one is just basically fraud. So let's talk about the first one, disrespecting the currency. I did some research and I couldn't find anything saying that it is illegal to step on money in Thailand. However, back in 2015, there was a case where an Australian tourist stepped on a $5 bill, and they were charged under the Criminal Code of 1882, Section 355, which says it is forbidden to, quote, make a mark, cut or tear or otherwise destroy the seals, stamps, signs, pictures, or inscriptions on banknotes or coins which are in use. Now, the interesting thing about this case is that he wasn't even carrying that $5 bill around. He picked it up off the ground and then stepped on it. So even though it wasn't his money to begin with, he still was charged. Now, since this happened in 2015, I couldn't find any updates to the law, but in this case, he was only fined. He wasn't put in jail. However, there has been cases in the past where people have been put in jail for, insulting the currency or burning the currency. However, I don't believe that you can be put in jail for stepping on money in Thailand. That's just my opinion. Again, if you have any legal issues, you need to contact a lawyer. Now, there is another law that it could be referring to, and that would be fraud. Let's say, for example, that somebody is carrying around a large amount of cash. Maybe they are rebringing it from their home country to Thailand, or maybe they have something like crypto, and they want to buy something with that crypto, and they go and exchange it for Thai baht. Well, if you carry around a lot of money, it does make you kind of suspicious, and it does make you more likely that the bank or whoever you re-exchanging this money with is going to ask you a lot of questions about where this money came from. In fact, I have a friend who brought over something like $40,000 US to invest in cryptocurrency in Thailand. And they held on to that for a couple weeks until they could figure out what they wanted to do with that money. Well, after holding on to it for a couple weeks, they decided to deposit it into a Thai bank account. They went to the bank and deposited it, and well, the bank ended up calling the police, and they showed up at the bank, and they started asking him questions about where this money came from, and they detained him for a little while, but eventually let him go. He was able to get all of his money back. Now, this is the perfect example of when you have a large amount of money. It's good to have a lawyer present, especially if this is not your home country. For example, if somebody was bringing a large amount of money into Thailand from the United States, it would be good to have a Thai lawyer present during this transaction, just in case there are any problems. And of course, it's always a good idea to declare any large amounts of cash or valuables to customs when you enter a country. Just check the websites. Every country has different rules and regulations on this. But this is just an example of having a lot of cash in Thailand, and then trying to deposit it in a bank and running into problems because of that. Now, I will say this, it's pretty rare that you going to have any problems, lest you're carrying around a large amount of money, like tens of thousands of US dollars or tens of millions of Thai baht. If you're talking about, smaller amounts of money, you should be fine. You can step on it, you can sit on it, whatever you want to do with it. However, I do want to share a story of a client of mine. She didn't have money in her possession, but she had an account in Thailand with several $1,000,000 worth of value. And so a couple years ago, she was talking to me about setting up a structure so that if she passed away, that her assets would be protected. Well, we set up a will and everything, and part of that will was that her money would go to her son. Now, unfortunately, she passed away and her son ended up getting a hold of that money. Now, he didn't steal it. It was a part of the will that his mom had made. But because he withdrew a large amount of money from this account, the bank called the police, and the police showed up at the bank, and they started asking him questions about where this money came from. And luckily, he had a lawyer with him, one of our attorneys here in Thailand. And so that attorney was able to show the police officers the will, and they were able to prove that this money belonged to the estate and was supposed to be given to him. So he wasn't doing anything wrong. But once again, this is another example of when you're dealing with large amounts of money. It is a good idea to have a lawyer with you, especially if this money is not in your name, or if you're dealing with money in a foreign country. So that is the situation with that. So now let us talk about how much money do you have to be carrying around for this to even be an issue. Like I said before, if you just stepping on money off the street and it happens to be in your hand and you step on it, it's probably not going to be an issue. However, if you have a large amount of money and you're trying to transport it across borders, from the US to Thailand or from Europe to Thailand, it's always a good idea to declare that to customs. However, if you are transferring money within Thailand itself, there is no rule that I could find saying that you need to report that to anybody. But again, if you're dealing with large amounts of money, this is something that you need to watch out for. So if you're just carrying around a few $100 or even a few $1,000, you should be perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry about it. But if you're carrying around, tens of thousands of dollars, I would definitely look into speaking to a lawyer just to protect yourself. I hope that cleared things up about stepping on money in Thailand. If you have any other questions about that, leave them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, because that tells the platform that you enjoyed the video. And then the platform will show the video to more people. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing because I'm making videos about Thailand every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.